Hello and welcome back to the Go in the Match podcast. Today I'm joined by Arsenal fan Alex Harrison. Al is a match-going Arsenal fan and has done the air miles following the Arsenal. He's also spent some time playing semi-pro in America. Al, thanks for giving up your time today, mate, and thanks for coming on the podcast.
No problem, mate.
So, massive Arsenal fan. How did that come about?
Well, my dad's an Arsenal fan, my uncle's an Arsenal fan. I was going to ask my dad last night around, what was his dad an Arsenal fan? Unfortunately never got to meet him. I think he was, but I'm not too sure. But yeah, it's just through the family, really.
There's not many, like we were saying before recording, there's not many Arsenal fans over here, is there? So
you'd be surprised. There's quite a few. There's quite a few now in the supporters club and stuff on Facebook. So growing up, I didn't really know many Arsenal fans, but over the last few years, I'm starting to meet a lot, and there's quite a few season ticket holders over here.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, quite surprisingly, but yeah, there's a couple of season ticket holders over here, and most of the fans over here go to the game, so it's good. It's good to have got people to go to the game with.
It's one of them over here because it's so expensive on flights to go to London as well.
Yeah.
You know, we've kind of got that privilege with supporting Liverpool. We've got the boat. I think we kind of take it for granted.
Yeah.
That we can just go on the boat, and I mean, you've done Liverpool away a few times, haven't you?
Yeah, I mean, you look at the flights to Manchester, they're quite expensive. London's relatively cheap, but it's when you get into London, it's the train tickets that adds up. But it's not that expensive. It's just probably just a similar going to.
Yeah, I suppose when you know the places to go to, don't you?
Yeah, and I think Luton's probably our choice of airport to fly into because it's kind of directly into London. It just seems a bit quicker and easier. But there is a train from Gatwick now that goes straight to Islington.
Oh,
I don't know whether there was prior, but there's one now that me and my dad got on. So that was really good. But yeah, it's just the London expenses, isn't it? The price of ale, etc.
Yeah.
But it's not that bad. It's not as bad as people think.
So, what was the first match you went to, and what do you remember about your first match day experience?
First match I went to was against Liverpool. I sat in the home end, it was at Anfield.
Did you just go to watch Liverpool, did you?
Yeah. Quite a historic game as well. I think Fowler scored the quickest hat-trick ever.
Oh, right,
I think it was in 1996, maybe 95. I was between 4 and 6 because I vaguely remember it.
Yeah.
We went 1-0 up. I think Ian Wright scored, and then Fowler obviously scored a hat-trick, but I remember crying. I remember celebrating when we scored, and someone piped up and told me to calm down, and my dad had a bit of an argument with them. and then we ended up obviously losing, and I was crying. And I mean, I used to cry. I cried when Arsenal lost games up until about 14. So I was just temper, Yeah, but that game there, I remember the guy that shouted at me or shouted over to us ended up giving me some sweets to try and cheer me up at the end of the game after Liverpool had won. But when Arsenal went 1-0 up, he wasn't too happy. But yeah, that's my first memory of the game.
Do you kind of have that moment as well where I think everyone does, don't they, going up the stairs, seeing the pitch?
See, I do have that. I remember being there. I can't really remember where I sat.
You're quite young.
I had that more my next game when I went to watch Charles Levin, and I remember that. And you get that sort of fuzzy feeling in your stomach. Yeah, you can't describe it.
Do you kind of get that now as well?
Not really. No. So it depends where I'm going. Really, if I'm going somewhere quite to a stadium that's like unbelievable. I get that at Old Trafford whenever I go in there. I think Old Trafford's probably the best designed stadium. Maybe bar the Messiah. I think that's the best designed stadium I've been to.
Yeah.
So every time I'm in there, I'm like, wow, this is excellent. But I don't get that as such anymore. No. So
did you kind of like fall in love with Arsenal then? There was no other team you would kind of support, or was it just
people
like?
Would probably call me a football fan, but I'm more an Arsenal fan. I don't really watch other teams. I do watch football if it's on big games, etc. If it's on the TV, I'll watch it. But I watch every Arsenal game, if it's possible. And I'm more of an Arsenal fan than a football fan. But yeah, sometimes, especially in the last sort of 5 to 10 years, you think, why do you spend all this money, or why do you put all this time into watching someone that's just shit, basically? But it's just one of those things that you can't really give up. It's my passion, so it's the only thing I can really talk about, to be honest.
So were you going quite a bit when you were a kid, or did you kind of?
I started going again when I was around the age of when I come back from living in America. So I lived in America from 20 to 24, 25, and then from 25 to 30 now. I've been going quite a bit. Obviously, play football as well, so it's difficult to do both. Because I play amateur football, but I take it seriously. So I don't really miss games. So it's difficult, but I do I do all right.
Did you miss when you were in America? Did you miss that sort of going to watch Arsenal?
I can't recall. I used to come home for Christmas for 2 weeks, and I wouldn't go because it just wouldn't be
hard to try and fit in there.
Trying to see your family and stuff. But I didn't go probably for 4 years. So I remember the first game back I went to, which was one of the best games I've ever been to at Old Trafford, in the FA Cup quarter final when Danny Welbeck scored.
Oh yeah.
So that was amazing, but I did miss it a lot.
So I can't have you on the podcast without talking about the time that you got banned from the boat.
Yeah. Well, I actually didn't get banned from the boat. I didn't get banned.
Officially.
Other people got banned. I never got banned, but I was the ringleader. And
supposedly, or
well, I was. I remember. Basically, the story goes the guy working behind the bar on the steam packet boat. He looks like Giroud, which is an absolute compliment, by the way. And
he does though, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does. Basically on the boat everyone's getting a little bit leery, and I start singing the Giroud song at the time. This was after we just got spanked, maybe I think it was 5-0 or
4-0, wasn't it? It was at Anfield, wasn't it?
Yeah, 4-0 at Anfield, but I started singing the Giroud song, and everyone joined in, and then it got a bit leery from there. The guy behind the counter, the bar, didn't like it, although I tried to show him a picture of Giroud and say, mate, it's a compliment, but
he must have that all the time though, surely.
Yeah.
I remember like it was yesterday, because obviously all our fans were kind of singing and everything like that, and I actually felt quite sorry for you, because I remember you were kind of the only Arsenal fan on there.
So what happened there? So the police got involved, and then they started banning people, and I started panicking like mad, because about 3 weeks after I was going on holiday to Lanzarote with my girlfriend, and I was booked on the boat, and I was thinking, if I get banned, she's going to go mental.
You are not back in that house.
Berserk. So I'm like, literally. So what I done was I went down to the steam packet and started grovelling. And I was like, it wasn't me. It was all them other people. And next thing you know, like some of my mates ended up getting banned 6 months from the boat. But 2 weeks later, I was on the boat.
Fucking grass, then, aren't you?
Yeah, grass. Yeah. But it was quite funny actually, because when I actually got on the boat, I said to my girlfriend, I'm fine, I'm on here now. And then next week, 2 police officers walk on the boat and start circling, walk around the boat. At 8 o'clock in the morning, I'm thinking, oh shit, they caught me. But luckily enough, it wasn't. They weren't on there for me.
Oh, what a belter. Oh, I couldn't not have that in there.
Yeah.
There was definitely one of the priority lists there. The next one I've definitely got. So, special request from Glenn Cooley. So he's told me to ask you about the 2001 FA Cup final, dubbed the Michael Owen final, as it were.
Yeah, worst day of my life. I'm not joking, I swear. That's why I really dislike Liverpool. Growing up, I wouldn't say I got bullied.
Did you go to that match?
No, I wouldn't say I got bullied, but all my mates were Liverpool fans, and they used to sing Liverpool songs all the time. We were when was it? 2001.
2001.
We were 11 at the time, so we all used to love singing and stuff. But,
yeah.
So they were all singing Liverpool songs all the time, and then coming up to that game, I actually thought we were favourites going into that game.
We usually had an incredible side, didn't you?
We battered that game. So Honcho and handball on the line, just missed chance after chance. We scored early. I think Youngberg scored. We were 1-0 up. But I watched the game at my nana's house down in Lord Street at the time.
Right.
And it was the last game I was ever like. My nana said, "You're not allowed to watch games here anymore," because I smashed the bathroom up, crying, temper. Worst day of my life. I threw the mats, the floor mats.
How old were you then? 2001.
Crying me, I smashing, but it wasn't like crying. It was temper.
Temper.
Yeah, booting the bath panel, and it wasn't good.
Okay,
but that was the last time my nana said I wasn't allowed to watch the footy around hers anymore. But worst day of my life.
Do you know what? Obviously knew you would come on the podcast, and I was 6 for that final, so obviously I don't remember anything. But watching that back, you touched on Henchos there, and the handball on the line, looking back on that, how do you feel about that now? Because you're not going to get away with that now.
I'm one of those people that when Arsenal lose games, I can't, and they come up on Premier League history or whatever, those shows they have on Sky Sports, I can't watch Arsenal lose, so I just turn it off, or just go out of the room until it's finished, then come back in when it's the next game. I just can't watch. It traumatises me. That game was. But I suppose, with 2005, a few years later, we've done something similar to Man United when we beat them on penalties. They battered us all game. So I kind of got that.
You had an unbelievable team then, the Vieira, Youngberg.
Yeah, we were good. We had, I think Anelka was in that side in 2001. We had a great side.
But we were a terrible team. We did the treble that year of the Cups. Yeah. We had a good team, but when you look at that 90 minutes, he's absolutely battered us.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's Michael Owen's game in a nutshell, that one though, wasn't it? How good he really was, and obviously went a downslope after that. But bad one for you then.
Yeah, awful.
So obviously I know you've done the miles following the Arsenal as well. What's your favourite way you've done? And for you, is the travelling the best part?
Favourite away game or I'd say obviously I went to Valencia 2 years ago, or last year, Europa League semi-final.
That's some ground, that.
Yeah, unbelievable. The travelling was amazing. I went with my dad and my dad's friend and one of my friends now. We're all big Arsenal fans, go to the game quite a bit.
Milan, yeah.
Gary Milan, Adam Milan. But it was phenomenal, you know. The day of the game, it was, again, you know, you're meeting all the Arsenal fans in the square, everyone's singing, and then you're walking up to the Mestalla, and it's you know, there's only a few of you, but you know, it's you're singing and all that, you're going mental. It starts getting a bit, you know, a bit wild, a bit scary, you know, quite intimidating. But because me and Adam were really pissed, we're singing, screaming, shouting with all these lunatics, people throwing up and that, and you know, the Valencia fans started getting a bit hostile, not liking it, and Gary Milan's a bit of a worrier, and he was getting a bit Adam's S with the shirt off, swinging it around.
He's not the biggest of fellas either, is he?
Biggest of fellas now, but they were quite. They didn't like it, John. They weren't. There was Arsenal fans there. I've never seen it before, actually. They were. John, I'm no fan of hooliganism at all. Like there was Arsenal fans there that were good to go. There was this one guy who we actually met him a little bit earlier on, but he ended up joining up with us, and he wasn't drinking. He drove down from somewhere else in Spain. He lived there. It's a 4-hour drive. He drove there.
Really?
And you know, he was ready to go. He was you know, ready to go. And it was quite scary, to be honest.
I think that's the kind of thing you probably see on a Euro away that you probably don't see on a domestic away as well. We touched on it last week with the boys from the United fans, and they kind of said that, you know, the whole day, the atmosphere on the drink, it's different drink, the weather, you kind of get a bit carried away with it, and obviously some people do take it a bit too far, like, don't they?
Yeah, I think that was the first time where I thought something could happen here. But I beat the Spurs, you know, I've watched Arsenal Spurs, and that's it's intense, but it's not. I'm never under the impression things are going to go off. But that was the first time. I remember the moment quite clear. But the Arsenal fan, you could see he was a raving lunatic, ready to go. Just one little thing and he'd be straight in there.
Did you win that game?
Yeah, we won. I think we won it 4-1, 3-1 or 4-1. Aubameyang scored a hat trick. I think it was, the atmosphere was phenomenal.
It's some stadium because
it's quite open. It's really steep up on you. But the atmosphere from the Arsenal fans that day. I mean, the Arsenal fans get a lot of stick for not being loud, but you know, they're as good as any other away.
You've got a good away following, to be fair.
Yeah, yeah, it's decent enough. But that day we were so loud. It was. I think I listened to the first podcast and the guy said his head was bouncing.
Yeah.
I remember leaving that ground there and just the biggest, you know, the headache. My head was just
the hydration.
Throbbing, dehydrated. Well, they don't sell drinking. I think it's for European games. They don't sell drinking.
Not the Congos.
So we were just drinking Fanta or something like that. But yeah, my head was pounding. But what a game! What a game to go to.
So what domestics have you done as well? You've done Burnley as well, haven't you?
Yeah, I've done Burnley away. Done that this year. 0-0. Awful.
It's a shithole, that, isn't it?
I think I've done all the games I've been to this year. Abysmal. Bournemouth at home, I think we won 1-0. Abysmal. You know, ways I've done Blackpool last year or 2 years ago.
What's that like?
Amazing.
That's amazing. Like a tiny little ground,
so
but
it's. To this one. There's one. There's this bar called the Manchester Bar. I can't remember the name of it, but they decorate it for the away fans. So when you go in there, they have all the away fan music on and stuff, and it was amazing. But that's I'd love to see them back up in the Premier League games. That is one. That's brilliant.
They've got the nightlife and everything. That is kind of the perfect away day, that, like, isn't it?
I think both Liverpool clubs are amazing because the pubs around there are brilliant.
Yeah, you've done Goodison as well, haven't you?
Yeah. The pubs around there, the Oracles, I think they're really it's really good for away fans.
It's a shame every time you come to Anfield.
I know,
fucking good dicking.
I went to, not this year, but the previous 3 times, and I think the combined score is 12-1. So it's not Anfield's not a good place to go. But yeah, both Liverpool clubs are really.
What's your sort of take on? Because I know you've said a few times about the atmosphere at Anfield. And
I was hoping you were going to ask me this. Honestly, it's not been. I've seen a lot louder, but maybe I don't know. Maybe it was where I was sat, or you can. It's obviously Larry from the Kop end. You can hear them singing, but in terms of the whole grand atmosphere, I don't think Anfield is. I've been there 4 times. Been 4 times, and it's not the loudest or even close to the loudest stadium I've been to. The loudest stadium I've been to, or the loudest game I've been to for home fans, and you'll probably laugh at this, was City. I went to City about 3 or 4 years ago. We got beat 3-1. We actually played okay. We got a couple of chances to get back in the game, but City's fans that day were unbelievable, mate. Honestly, unbelievable.
I think with Anfield and people saying obviously the atmosphere and stuff, I think we probably make it quite easy for the away fans at Anfield, because you've got that section in Anfield Road. You're so far away from the Kop. You're next to the main stand. The main stand tends to be more of a family stand. You've kind of got a leeway to make a lot of noise there.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at like Newcastle, you're up in the gods. You kind of put away.
Newcastle's one of the worst away games I've been to. Awful.
It's hard to make an atmosphere up there, isn't it?
Yeah, you're probably right. You can make an atmosphere at Anfield because
you're close to the pitch as well.
Everton's the same. So you're right. You're on the pitch, so you're right in that sense. I just think sometimes, obviously, you've been so successful over the last. Well, every time I've been to Anfield, it's not been that loud for me. People always raise
probably because we're 4-0 up in 5 minutes, probably.
Yeah, true. Yeah, so games won after 5 minutes, but no, Everton gets loud. Everton's not necessarily atmosphere where they're singing all game. It's
big moments.
It's big moments, and the roar from the crowd is unbelievable at Everton. It's unreal. Liverpool have all the songs, but Everton, they have 2 or 3 songs, but like when they score or when they have a chance or when they're in the game, it's so loud and intimidating.
Yeah.
I don't think there's not many stadiums I've been to where it's like that.
I think they probably get a bad reputation, to be fair, because like you say, when they're doing well, the atmosphere is really good. You probably just don't notice it because they're shite.
Yeah, true. Yeah. Don't get them.
That's me just being brutally honest.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously I know nothing about how easy or difficult it is to get tickets to the match at Arsenal. What is the ticket availability like? Is it, because on the last 2 episodes we've kind of touched on like touting being quite a big issue at Liverpool and United. Is that a big issue at Arsenal as well?
See, I can only comment obviously after Highbury when I can kind of remember and start going myself, but I do quite well with tickets. Home tickets, big stadium, not doing that great.
So what's your setup? Have you like a members card?
Yeah, there's members cards. You have red member, silver member, gold member, and platinum members, and then obviously season ticket holders within there as well. But ticket wise, I do all right. It's very rare that I'll be denied even an away ticket just because I've got a few contacts. But it's all face value. Everything's face value. Tickets out, I can only comment from myself.
Yeah.
I think the only time I've ever bought off a tout was my first game at Highbury, my only game at Highbury.
Yeah.
I think we paid £80 or £90 for a ticket in 2001, 2002.
But you're attending, you obviously like the capacity is a lot bigger now, isn't it? So I suppose that helps quite massively, doesn't it?
And they say London clubs don't travel very well. Maybe that's why I can get away tickets, but I just think I've got good contacts.
Arsenal's a massive club as well, though, isn't it?
I, to be honest, I've never been to an Arsenal away game where there's been empty seats. It's always full. But yeah, I do alright with tickets. Like I said, face value. There's a few Facebook groups knocking around where people can't go. If people can't go, they'll put it on there for face value below. But it's just not. It's unheard of from my perspective. The people I deal with, it's no one goes over face value.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's such a massive issue. I touched on it in each of the episodes, and I kind of want to touch on it in every episode, regardless of how big the club is, because I think it is such a big issue. But it's a difficult one as well.
Because especially a lot of the people that are touting and selling overpriced, they're selling to the mates. They're making money on the mates, and then they're ripping off their own fans, and the idea of that is just not.
Yeah, I mean, I touched on the first episode. Like, I've bought off a tout. I would never ever sell. I mean, I can get my tickets, not too much of a problem, but obviously aways is such a massive problem for ours. Anyways, I'm sure it is for most big clubs, but it's a difficult thing to stomp out, I think, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. I think on Liverpool introducing something this season where you can only have a certain amount of members on your season ticket.
Yeah.
So that hopefully that'll restrict that. I mean, I can't stand it. I hate it, and I always kind of, when we're having these little arguments about football and stuff, I always tend to, my argument to Liverpool fans, because we're crap and they're better than us, is I'll go down with your fans, tout each other
off.
Yeah, so that's not good, is it? But yeah, luckily for me, I don't have to deal with that at Arsenal. So
I think it's a big club thing, isn't it? Like, you get your tourists, you get your day trippers, as it were, to go into the match, and you don't get it at, say, a Burnley or whatever.
No.
Obviously, so you've touched on Highbury there. So you leave there in 2006 for your new ground, the Emirates. In hindsight, do you think that was the right thing to do for the club? And what's your overall thoughts on the Emirates? I've never been, so
it had to happen. It's just makes sense. You could say, people say, "Oh, we moved there and we're not competing. We moved there to compete and we're not competing," but we had to move there. I mean, the amount of money we're generating from a match day at the Emirates is unbelievable. It's probably 4 or 5 times more than they were at Highbury.
Yeah.
Highbury itself was an unbelievable stadium. It was similar to Goodison in that sense, maybe similar to Anfield in a way. Tight pitch. Just unbelievable. I love watching old games there because the camera's dead low. But yeah, what a stadium. But I think it had to be done. The Emirates itself on telly and stuff, it looks good. But I think when you're there, it's really impressive.
What's like around the ground? Like
there's various pubs around the ground. It's basically similar to a Anfield Goodison. It's just there's houses around the Emirates. It's more like it's a university base, so there's a university there. But there's houses. Highbury's obviously right next to there as well. And then there's like a bunch of restaurants, takeaways. So it's just like pretty much probably Anfield in a way.
So you kind of don't miss
it's not in the middle of nowhere. It's not like
So we were sort of saying on
City.
City's the perfect example. There's nothing to go around.
City's got one pub there, whereas Arsenal, there's loads of pubs around there.
That's not too bad.
But I think it's an A stadium. I think for an away fan it'd be really good.
So when you go to the match, is there like a particular pub you go to, or what's kind of like?
We mix it up really. There's a pub called the 12 Pins that we go to. It gets quite rowdy in there. So we go there.
You're saying about the revenue that Emirates gets in for like your capacity and your ticket sales, etc. Do you kind of get annoyed then maybe that he's bringing a lot of money in? Because I think he's got the most expensive ticket in the Premier League, haven't you?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, it's not that bad.
So obviously at the Emirates, you're saying about that you get your ticket sales are obviously one of the most expensive ones. Do you kind of get annoyed that he's bringing so much money in revenue wise, and it maybe doesn't get spent on transfers or?
I mean, you look at the owners. People always say Arsenal don't spend money, but Arsenal have actually spent money. You look at the players they brought in over the sort of last let's say 5 to 10 years. You've got Wenger spending 35 million on Mustafi, 35 million on Xhaka. Lacazette 50 million, Aubameyang 50 million, Ozil, I can't remember what Ozil was worth, but Sanchez.
His salary's ridiculous.
Even in Pepe, Tini, they all cost a big chunk of money. So to say also don't spend money is not true. The issue I have with the owners, it's not based around money. We kind of spend what we generate. Okay, they haven't put in money themselves, but I think I've seen a stat the other day where Man United are the same.
Yeah, so they're taking in so much money, but they'll only spend what they're bringing in. They won't pump their own money in, sort of thing.
Yeah, I mean, I'd take great value in us not being likes of City and Chelsea just splashing cash.
Yeah.
But the issue I do have with the owners is based around more like a governance side of things, where it's the appointments. They're appointing people in high places, directors of footballs. And just their overall decision making has been shocking over the last 10-15 years.
Yeah. So it's Kroenke that's your owner, isn't it?
Yeah. Kroenke.
I mean, I've seen a lot of things where he doesn't even go to the Emirates. Is it his son that goes?
His son, it's Josh Kroenke. He's at the games now and again. I think he's kind of left to his own devices to kind of sort things out. But we've got like a bit of we've got a director of football now, Raul Sanelli from Barcelona, and but you look at the last sort of 10 years, Ivan Gazidis in there. Wenger was left there for a long time. Maybe should have went earlier. So it's just those little governance decisions that annoy me.
So overall, you're not too miffed with the owners. It's more just.
Well, yeah, I am. They frustrate me because of the decisions they've made over the years. But in terms of sanctioning player deals, they've done it. They've let those players that are buying those people buying those players. They've let them. Basically,
it's more of a recruitment issue than anything.
It's just more of a recruitment issue and accountability issue, I suppose. People constantly make mistakes year after year after year. Like Wenger, you can see the decline in Wenger, and he was just allowed to continue.
Just let it go, sort of thing.
Yeah.
I mean, touching on Wenger, that's the next thing I was going to go into. So he leaves the club in 2018. Unai Emery takes over. At the time, did you feel that was the right move, or what was your sort of thoughts on his time at Arsenal?
When he first came in, I was quite excited.
Did you want Wenger out, or did you?
Yeah. I thought Wenger should have left for 4 years after the Hull game when we won the
FA Cup
in Hull against Hull. But again, that comes down to the owners. The owners should have moved him on then, but they decided to keep him on, and then you decline more and more and more.
I mean, like, I kind of think the way I know the way you are with being a football fan, and like even just playing football or whatever it may be, the way your take on it is. Do you kind of get annoyed then as an Arsenal fan, thinking, well, I want to see us like compete for things, for titles and stuff, and then obviously you touched on Kroenke there. He's just happy for Wenger to just carry on.
Yeah,
he's known. I mean, it was kind of a piss take, really, saying, "Oh, we're just quite happy for top 4."
Yeah,
and now, ironically, you'd probably do quite a lot to just get in the top 4.
Yeah.
And obviously, I know the way you are. Does that not piss you off that I want to see my team win titles, win cups?
Yeah, I mean, again, it comes down to player recruitment. Just players coming in not good enough.
Yeah.
Getting rid of players at times, letting contracts, basically run down, and then you're left with
stupid football decisions.
So it's just those decisions. That's why I'm come back to governance. The decisions that they've let. The fact that they've let people in high places make those decisions and let things happen. That's the issue for me. So.
Do you think you've got that now, or do you think it's?
I think things have changed. I'm not so sure on Raul Sanelli, for instance. I'm not sold on him. He's bringing in. They appointed Emery. They got rid of. The man that we got from Dortmund. The director.
I know what you mean. Yeah.
Sven missing. What was his name is?
Yeah.
They got rid of him. He was bringing in good players. They got rid of him. Obviously, had a bit of an issue there with.
So, do you think a director of football is kind of the way you need to go now? And because I think United have had that problem for quite a long time, where they've not had anyone in there. They've had like Ed Woodward, and he's a money man more or less.
I think the biggest thing, there's got to be a good arrangement there between the manager and the director of football. If that's one or two, a few people, they've got to be on the same page. Bringing in the same players, wanting the same players, etc. So that's got to work. If that doesn't work, then it all breaks down. We had a similar thing last year with Emery, where he wanted Zaha, but they went and got Pepe because he was a little bit cheaper. Emery's come out and said the last few months, so I didn't want Pepe, I wanted Zaha. So they were basically doing what they wanted. Basically.
Yeah, that kind of reminds me of when we had Rodgers. To be fair, obviously the season after we almost won the league, we ended up getting Balotelli. He wanted Sanchez, didn't get his man. And I think a lot of managers are probably playing it quite well now. If you look at like Solskjaer, he's holding out for the players that he wants. Yeah. So he goes in there, he gets rid of Lukaku, he doesn't want him, he doesn't want that. I mean, looking forward to the future now. So now you've got Arteta coming in. Are your thoughts better on him now? You've got a better gut feeling on him? He's
prior to him coming in, I would have honestly said there's probably we've got 3 good players. I honestly would have said that until he come in, because he was that bad across the whole squad. Now he's turned players like Xhaka, who I've slated on in the past on Twitter religiously for the last 3 or 4 years, how long he's been at the club. But he's actually made him a good player. He's our best player now.
He's playing well.
I'll hold my hands up and say I got it wrong, and he is a good player. But that
easily done now, isn't it?
For me, that tells me everything. Arteta is the right man there. He's made one of the worst back fours in the league. Actually start defending quite well and keep the clean sheet against City and use. So
do you think he'll get the time that he needs?
Yes, I think for me his whole body language and his interviews have changed over the last sort of 2 months. Where originally he was kind of putting out a message there saying that we need players who are going to fall away, and now he's starting to say, I trust the owner, I trust Raul Sanelli, etc. to bring in the right players. So I think there's been some sort of agreement there behind the scenes where they're going to actually start
giving some more reassurances.
Yeah. Obviously they're not going to go out and spend loads and loads of money, but I think in the current climate they've got to sort of broker deals where player exchanges, and I think that's kind of what you've seen today with Guendouzi maybe going to Bayern Munich, or is it?
Yeah, is
he Bayern Munich? Or
he's kind of getting linked to like loads of different big teams, isn't he? And I've seen something today that he's getting linked to Barcelona, maybe a swap deal with Coutinho. Maybe I kind of look at it now with Arteta and think he's kind of going back to maybe not Wenger. It's probably not a good comparison, but he's kind of bringing players in that care. So what's your man who's just signed a new contract? Is it Saka?
Yeah.
So he's kind of coming through the youth. You've got Kieran Tierney there. You can see what he was like at Celtic. He's a very passionate sort of player. Aubameyang's a goal scorer. He's getting the Guendouzi's, the Ozils out there now.
Yeah, that's a culture-driven thing though, and I think that whole culture began when Wenger was in charge.
Yeah.
So he's trying to eradicate that. Ozil, how many away games did Ozil play over his time at Arsenal?
Well,
Wenger let that happen.
I think Ozil's such a interesting one. What's your kind of thoughts on that? Because he was a Galactico and he was a superstar.
Yeah, and he has had games for us.
He was amazing when he first signed for years.
It's his body language that frustrates the fans, and it doesn't actually frustrate me because I know his qualities, but he doesn't play. So there's obviously an underlying issue there, and a culture issue, and maybe Arteta's seeing now that he doesn't want him there.
Because he does come across like he actually does care about the club. Maybe it's just
he takes to social media a lot as well to kind of get his point across, which I don't necessarily agree with.
He's a bit of a whinger, isn't he?
And you do see that conflict on Twitter and stuff where fans argue.
Yeah.
But for me, if Arteta wants rid of him, get rid of him. The wages he's on are ridiculous.
Yeah,
and
silly,
he probably plays a handful of away games a year, plays at home games. It's not good enough, for someone who's on that sort of wage. But again, culture. He's trying to set a good culture there, and you can see the benefits. That bad culture's been around Arsenal for the last 5 years. Started when Wenger was there, and it was apparent more than ever when Emery was in charge.
Yeah, I suppose he probably in the dressing room as well. He's kind of bringing everyone else's mood down, isn't he? He's probably sat there with a face on him. The young lads probably aren't getting a...
Yeah, it's the same at any level of football. You get it even at the lowest level, the amateur level. One player can turn a few plays.
Definitely. Sunday League's exactly the same, isn't it? If you can't be asked being there, why should I be?
Yeah, exactly. So it's one of them. But I think I don't think Arteta and Ozil's relationship is that toxic. I just think Arteta has just seen past him. And he keeps saying, he's got the same chances as every other person. He's just got to show me in training.
If it's not working,
he's just lost the plot, isn't he? His attitude's disgusting. You can see it on games.
The other player I want to touch on is David Luiz as well. So obviously you played semi-pro yourself in America, and you were a centre back. Were you centre back as well?
Yeah.
So what's your thoughts on him? He's got a new contract.
I love him as a person. He's great, and I think he's there because he must be a great role model behind the scenes, and that goes so far as well. You play at any level of football, if you got good characters about and positive people, goes so far, and it'll help build that culture that Arteta is trying to build.
Yeah.
So for me, I don't mind him getting a new contract as long as we're bringing in defenders that are coming in to actually play. If he's there, the culture and almost like a coach, I don't mind that because I can see that in him. I like him. He's so likeable.
Yeah.
But as a defender, his defending is appalling. I watched him against. Even when he had a good game, I watched him against Liverpool, and the amount of times he's out of position. I mean, most people probably wouldn't recognise it, but I'm just watching him, and he's always dropping 10, 15 yards deeper than everyone else, and it's just his awareness, his defending is appalling.
It's a weird one with him, isn't it? Because obviously, like you say, he's got something about him, hasn't he? And it's almost one of them where it kind of reminds me a bit when Carragher was coming towards the end. He wasn't at the peak of his powers, but the experience and the knowledge that he might be handing on to the younger lads coming through might be worth that one more year, might it?
Yeah, exactly. So that's why I don't mind him getting that contract. Yeah. That wasn't an issue for me. Everyone's like, as if you're giving him another contract, what's your thoughts on that? Thoughts aren't that bad as long as we're bringing in someone else who's going to
actually play.
Yeah.
Is it Saliba's lad supposed to be a good player?
He's brilliant. I've seen highlights of him on YouTube, but he's supposed to be the next best thing. But I think obviously defence, which has been the issue.
Yeah.
I mean, the last good defender we had, you're talking Campbell, Toure. That's how long ago it was. You look at the defenders we brought. We brought in Koscielny, decent. Vermaelen, decent.
But for a club of your stature and the competitions you've been in, you're talking when was he playing? 2000 Well, he used to play Barcelona in that final. Was that 2006?
2006, yes. Maybe he left 2007, 2008, maybe.
That's crazy.
But the defence has been an issue. Again, Wenger inherited a good back four from George Graham, Bruce Rioch, but he replaced Sol Campbell, brought Sol Campbell in, brought Lauren, Cole, Toure. But after that, it was It wasn't good enough. And that was the difference between us winning the league and not winning the league, because we were so close for those sort of middle years. We had great teams, but just the defence just let us down.
So at the time of recording, you've obviously got the FA Cup final tomorrow against Chelsea. What's your thoughts on that? How do you think it'll pan out?
I went to the FA Cup final last time we played Chelsea, which was great.
These two clubs love the FA Cup, it seems. No one else gives a fuck.
Yeah, I don't know why that is, to be honest. It's silverware at the end of the day.
It's a trophy, isn't it? And if you can win that tomorrow, you're getting the fans on side, aren't you?
I always see Piers Morgan going on about putting one of the top 4 places as the FA Cup, which would be unbelievable, but I just don't think that would. I mean, imagine fucking Millwall in the FA.
I know, yeah. I get what he means, but like you say, imagine the championship.
Trying to make it special again, but it is still special to us. We've won it we've won it a few years.
Going to Wembley as well.
Yeah, it's amazing. But we're the underdogs, aren't we? Chelsea are playing well. We've played Chelsea twice this year and been the better team twice, lost and drew.
Yeah.
So that gives me a bit of hope, but I don't want to go in there too hopeful like I did last year in the Europa League final. Got spanked, but yeah, I think we've got a chance. But we're the underdogs, and I think we're going to react better with the underdogs, because we played Juve the other day, did really well. With the underdogs, defended really well. Played City, did the same in the semi-final, and then hopefully we can do that against Chelsea.
I kind of think if he wins that cup, I think you've got not the whole of your fan base, but a lot of them are so reactionary, aren't they? Or they're deemed to be very reactionary. So the other thing I was going to say was, so at Arsenal for a good few years now, you've had Arsenal Fan TV.
Yeah.
So do you think that's kind of added to the sort of poisonous atmosphere around the Emirates? Or, because I remember when Wenger's time was coming to an end, things got quite nasty, really, didn't they? And a lot of it was blamed on Arsenal Fan TV's sort of input. And
I think they were, for me, I don't agree with that. I think they're poisonous, but I don't blame them necessarily for that. Maybe they instigated it a little bit and made it a little bit worse, but I think that was always going to happen, and that comes down to the owners again for letting it go on and on and on. Arsenal fans have high expectations. For me, I was spoiled. From since I can remember, Arsenal were good.
Yeah.
Winning leagues, challenging every year, and then that's why I think our expectations are really high. So that's why I think
I used the analogy last week of the dummy with the baby.
Yeah.
And obviously, getting it taken off him.
It's true. It's true. But also fan TV, you see them at games, they walk around like they're famous. It's pretty embarrassing.
Yeah.
It is pretty embarrassing.
Just a fan like me and you,
a fan like me and you with an opinion like.
Have you seen them outside the ground? And that,
yeah, I've seen them.
Did they come across that?
They do. Some of them do. Some of them are alright. There's a couple that are really knowledgeable and just keep themselves or just crack on. But some of them are.
You must see them at the away days as well, because to be fair to them,
that's where you do see them. I don't really see them at home games because there's obviously 60,000 people there, but the away games, everyone's kind of there together.
My kind of take on it is to be fair,
it's a platform for other fans.
Yeah, that's bang on.
Whenever Arsenal lose, people go on there to watch Arsenal Fan TV.
Yeah, at the end of the day, they're match going fans, and they pay their hard-earned money to go and watch the team, and I get that, but I think with Arsenal Fan TV, it's kind of got like a not poisonous, but it's a bit. I look at other fan channels and things like that. So we've got the Anfield Wrap at Liverpool, and they went up to Celtic Park and they did the safe standing stuff, and theirs more informative. Yeah. Whereas I think Arsenal Fan TV is more of a joke.
It is more of a joke, but you've got to look at the current situation that the club's going through. Arsenal, if you look at anyone who's declined in football, in English football, Arsenal have probably declined the most, and so you've got to. They're
kind of gaining their views from.
You've got to understand that there's going to be negativity there and frustration, and that's why it's so toxic. I get the frustration. I have it, but it's just the manner in which they go about it, and it is. It does stir it up a little bit. It does stir up. I've been at Arsenal games when Emery was there, even when Wenger was there. There's fighting amongst fans in the crowd, arguments, people singing Wenger out, people kicking off about it. Just have some respect, but it's all to do with the experience they've had. Like I said, we've gone from Champions League final, winning Premier Leagues, to now scraping around trying to get Europa League. The standards have dropped drastically over 10 years, and it's difficult, and that's why it's so negative. Other clubs don't. Thinking out the top of my head, other clubs don't have that or haven't been through that
sort of shite.
Quick shite. Liverpool fans did in the early 90s or whatever, but thinking fresh now with the social media and stuff, and
stirs up a bit, doesn't it?
Yeah, it stirs up a bit. It's easy access. Everyone's watching it. Players are watching it. Players get affected by it. It's.
Do you think? Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. People on there bashing them must be difficult. I don't know why any of them would ever have social media, but they definitely. I think they watch it as well. Doesn't help. It's just toxic, isn't it? But
yeah.
It's the idea behind it. It's a great platform for fans to voice their opinion, because prior to that, I don't think that was a thing. You just speak in the pub, but now people are actually getting there.
Yeah, like you say, they're kind of getting their views from the poor performances, I feel, aren't they? And it's kind of, someone will just go on there just to take the piss, knowing that they're going to be a fucking on Twitter later on saying, "Oh, look what I've said on Arsenal Fan TV."
There's nothing more I've done in the past. Whenever Arsenal lose, is you vent on Twitter. You do. That's how you vent. You get your points across on Twitter. I mean, I've spoken to my dad about it, but the first place you go is Twitter to vent.
Yeah, it's like a necessary evil in a way, isn't it?
And you do distress from it. You do slightly distress, kicking off, and then you get Liverpool fans gobbing off and people winding you up and stuff, and it makes you even worse. But you do need that vent, I just think Arsenal fans have had it tough.
A kind of a slightly random question I wanted to throw in here, obviously knowing you were coming on the podcast. So Van Persie leaves Arsenal to join United, goes on to win the league there. How did you feel about the club and Wenger letting him go at the time? Because personally, I remember it happening, thinking, you were all challenging for titles, like you've touched on earlier, kind of just going into this frail club where it's just like, oh yeah, we'll just let our players go then.
Yeah, so all our best players were leaving at that time, weren't they? Coming in and taking, and we were so close to winning the league again. Maybe a defender or a midfielder just to shore us up a little bit more steel. Then I think we would have won the league. We were that close.
Because he was a top goal scorer in the Prem, was he?
Yeah,
pretty short season before he went to
Van
United.
Persie was, and when you listen to him in interviews now, he puts a good point across. But again, I blame the ownership. I blame Wenger for not signing those players, not
being very frail.
In. Yeah, being frail, being weak. We've been so weak over the years. But yeah, he went to United. I think the Sanchez leaving hurt me more, because I rate Sanchez so highly. He's one of the best players I've seen play for Arsenal. People get surprised by when I say that, because you've seen Henry, Bergkamp, etc. But for me, Sanchez hurt me more.
Probably going to another United as well.
Yeah, and it was like, oh, here we go again. We're losing our best players to United. Obviously, he didn't do very well, and
they weren't even doing that well at the time either, were they?
They weren't. But yeah, you go back to Van Persie, it hurt, and it was we were that close, and he went there and won them the league. So how can you forgive? You can't forgive that.
Yeah,
that's not good enough.
You look at like Henry now, and Henry said about on Van Persie, he was like, "Oh, I'd never move to a rival team." And then someone said, "Well, you went to Barcelona," but it's different, isn't it?
It is. It's well different. It's very different. But again, that's why the frailty. That's why the toxic fan base. Things like that happen. Who else does that? Consistently? Who else has done that consistently over the last 15 years?
That must fuck you off, to be fair.
It does, and it's
because even though we've been shit, and I get we've sold our best players, Suarez, Coutinho, and I kind of get these players going to Barcelona, the South Americans, and I get that. But to go to a rival like that, and Sterling went to City, but we weren't competing with them at that point, really. Yeah. It fucked me off, and I know obviously you can see it fucks you off.
Wenger's early period, players left Arsenal and declined. As such, Anelka did. Anelka was brilliant at Arsenal. Petit, Haleb. There's players out there that left Arsenal and declined, but you look at his kind of later period, you look at the players that have left Arsenal and won things.
Fabregas is another one, isn't he?
You've got Fabregas, and you've got Van Persie, gone to United, won the league. You've got
Sanchez still went and won trophies, didn't he?
Toure, Clichy all went to City, won the league.
Yeah.
You've got even Chamberlain now gone to Liverpool, won the league. Although I think it was good business for Arsenal because it wasn't working out for him. But you look at those players that have left to go to rival clubs and had success. Arsenal were used to challenge for leagues not that long ago, 10, 15 years ago. Yeah. Now you give them your best players to the better teams who are going on and winning leagues because of those players. Yeah. That's the frustration.
So talked about Henry there as well, and I was listening to Carragher not long ago, and he was saying about how he feels all these. We were talking about Gerrard, and he was saying, Gerrard really wants to go and manage Liverpool. Lampard's doing it at Chelsea. I think you can kind of tell that Henry's maybe gone into management because he wants to manage Arsenal.
Yeah.
Do you ever see a world where he does? Now Arteta's there. Do you think he's got the credentials to maybe do it? Because I don't think Carragher kind of said about
unproven.
Yeah, Carragher said that he didn't want you shouldn't get a job at somewhere just because you've been a legend there.
No, I mean, not all good players make good managers, do they?
Yeah, he failed at Monaco, didn't he?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, definitely failed at Monaco. He's at Ottawa or somewhere now. I
think he's in. He's in the MLS, isn't he, with Montreal? And
see how he goes there, but I think I don't know. It's a good question. Arteta, though.
If Arteta carries on doing a good job, he's young enough. He's not going to get in there, is he? Sure, no. Maybe you get on the coaching staff.
But
maybe
it's how long you had. Wenger was at Arsenal for 20 years. Ferguson was at United for a long time. Moyes was at Everton for a long time. Or is it going to be a short-term thing now, managers?
Yeah.
I mean, those long-term periods damage clubs in some ways because the club has left. After having a manager there for so long, the club after that is trying to continue, and it's failed.
A lot of people don't
look at United declined, Everton declined, Arsenal declined. Having managers in for that long period of time might not necessarily be a good thing. Okay, it might be sustainable for a while, but once they leave,
I think it's sometimes maybe a difficult time to take over after you've had a stint like that. Because
I think us now, we're not looking that far ahead. We're just trying to get back on track. But for me, Arteta is the man. But maybe I mean, there's talk of Bergkamp coming in and being a coach. I love seeing Arsenal training pictures. You've got Ljungberg there, you've got Perez there. It'd be great to see. Ali Adier's there. It'd be great to see Bergkamp there, Henry. I'd love to see that there because it's bringing
they got the passion for the club as well.
Exactly. They all love the club. Having them involved would be great. But Henry, I don't know. It's unproven, so I'm not sure on that one.
So finally, the podcast centred around going the match. So every podcast we're doing, I want to kind of end by asking what are your top 3 favourite matches you've been to. So it doesn't have to be based on the match itself. It can be something that happened during the day.
Yeah, first game. One of the first to be my first game at Highbury. So I was around, I think it was 11 at the time. We got beat 2-1 by Blackburn. Edu scored a goal and scored an own goal.
Oh really?
Brad Friedel had the best game ever. But no, that was the first time I've ever gone to a game or been around that many Arsenal fans in my life. Because living in the Isle of Man, all my mates were Liverpool fans. I'd come across an Arsenal fan now and again, but that was the first time they walking up to the stadium and looking around and thinking these are all Arsenal fans and I'm an Arsenal fan and we all love Arsenal, and it was
the togetherness.
It was such a good feeling. It was amazing. But although we got beat, it still that moment there was unbelievable.
Those are sort of moments you do remember, to be fair, aren't they? And you must have been coming back thinking, I won't forget that.
Yeah. Again, I nearly cried. We got beat. Nearly cried, but I couldn't cry in front of.
Bit of a crier, you aren't you?
Yeah, a bit of a crier. A temper crier. 38,000 Arsenal fans. I couldn't cry. So, but we got beat. Yeah, but that was a great moment. Another one would be Old Trafford. I think I mentioned that before, where we beat United 2-1 in the FA Cup fifth round or quarter final. Danny Welbeck scored. That was the first game back after coming back from America. So first game in 4 or 5 years at Old Trafford, and fans were amazing.
How did you find their atmosphere at Old Trafford?
Not great.
No,
not great.
Because the boys touched on it last week, saying they haven't really got that anymore. So I think that was a sort of was it Van Gaal? They've got a
singing section now, I think. Yeah. Because I went last year, the away fans in one corner, and then the. Shane
and Jordan said don't call it a singing section. They don't like that. Apparently,
they had that singing section. It is a singing section. They're all bouncing, jumping around. They got a little bit noisy, but it's not that noisy.
Yeah.
Although Man United away fans are the loudest I've ever heard. Third game would probably be Valencia. I'm trying to throw one in there.
So you've been at Wembley as well, haven't you?
Yeah, I've been. Went to Chelsea FA Cup final. Yeah, Chelsea FA Cup final was amazing. So underdogs.
Did you win that one?
Ramsey scored the winner.
I've never actually seen us lift the trophy like with my own eyes. Do you know what I mean? Sort of thing. So obviously I've seen us lift the league and everything like this year and cups and stuff. But actually being there and experiencing seeing it lift it is something you can just say, isn't it?
Yeah, it was amazing. The whole lead up to it was amazing. There's one pub called the Torch.
Yeah.
So when you go to Wembley, you get divided. So the one fan base is on the left of Wembley Way, and the other's on the right.
Get allocated your pubs.
And the Torch, and it was just bouncing flares, and it was amazing, amazing. That would have to be my top 3. But that was an amazing day out with my dad.
It's not a bad top 3. See United get beat, had a little cry at your first one, and then a cup final.
Yeah, not too good in the last few years. All the games I seem to go to now are rubbish. We draw 0-0 or we get spanked. So hopefully that changes.
Long may that continue, I think.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's a good way to end the pod. So thanks, mate. Really appreciate you coming on, giving up your time today.
Cheers, mate.
If you haven't already, please subscribe, follow and share, and of course leave a 5-star rating.